There exists a quiet kind of heroism, a steady and uncelebrated strength that needs to be discussed. It is found in those who are always there for a friend in crisis, a relative in need of reassurance, or a colleague wrestling with doubt. These are the listeners, the shoulders to cry on, the bearers of burdens. They are the ones who, time and again, make themselves available for others, offering patience, empathy, and perspective, sometimes long into the night. Their presence is a comfort, their advice a lifeline, their kindness a refuge. Yet, for all they give, there's a peculiar loneliness that can settle in this role. When the tables turn and they themselves are in need, when they ache for someone to listen, to advise, to simply be there, the support they so freely provide often vanishes. The phones are silent, the replies are delayed. The world, which seemed so full when someone else needed them, becomes curiously empty when their own vulnerabilities surface. It is a paradox experienced by many. To be the best friend anyone could ask for, but to look around in moments of need and find no one waiting in the wings. Consider the countless times you have picked up the phone, answered that late-night text, dropped everything to be present for someone else. Perhaps it is your sibling torn apart by heartbreak, a friend overwhelmed by life's complexities, a parent who needs to unburden their worries. You listen, you comfort, you offer wisdom, or simply your attention. You make space for their pain without judgment, holding it until they feel lighter. It is an act of generosity, but also of vulnerability. To care so deeply, to extend yourself so fully, is to risk being depleted, to risk feeling unseen. For many who inhabit this role, their own needs are quietly packed away. The instinct is to say, others have it worse, or my problems are not as important. With time, this self-humility becomes habit. The listener rarely speaks. The comforter rarely seeks comfort. The world begins to expect this of you, and so the pattern persists. And when inevitably your own strength falters, when you long for someone to ask, "How are you?" Really, the silence can be deafening. You reach out, perhaps tentatively, hoping for the same reprieve you have offered 100 times over. Yet the support is not returned. The very people who have leaned on you are nowhere to be found. It stings, not simply because you feel alone, but because the exchange you believed in seems suddenly impossible. Why does this happen? Why is it that those who are most available to others so often find themselves alone when they themselves are in need? Part of the answer lies in the perceptions others have of you. You are the strong one, the rock, the wise friend. Strength to many appears self-sustaining. People may assume that you do not need help, that your stability is unshakable, or that you have it all figured out. They do not realize that your strength is not an endless resource, but something you build and maintain, often at great personal cost. Another part of the answer is cultural. We celebrate independence, resilience, and self-sacrifice, sometimes at the expense of connection. The myth persists that to ask for help is to admit weakness, that leaning on others diminishes you. But those who give most freely know this is not true. They have seen how transformative it is to be heard, how healing it is to be met with kindness. There is a particular loneliness in being the one everyone turns to. It is not born of bitterness, but of longing. You do not resent those you support. You simply wish to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be cared for as sincerely as you care for others. Sometimes you wonder if your value is conditional, tied to your usefulness rather than to who you are. It is a painful thought, and one that can erode your sense of belonging. Yet within this loneliness, there is also a profound grace. You have learned to sit with discomfort, to accept uncertainty, to give without expecting in return. You have discovered depths of compassion that many never reach. You know how to witness suffering without flinching, to offer solace without judgment. These qualities are rare and beautiful, hard-won through experience and reflection. To those who find themselves alone in their need, know this: asking for help is an act of courage, not defeat. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is the birthplace of connection. If your outreach is met with silence, it is not a reflection of your worth, but of others' limitations. Sometimes those around us are simply not capable of reciprocating in the ways we hope. That is their journey, however, not yours. There is immense power in naming your needs, in seeking out those who are able and willing to support you. Sometimes new connections are found in unexpected places, maybe a colleague, a neighbor, or even a community group. Sometimes solace comes from within, through journaling, meditation, art, or simply sitting quietly with your own heart. You are not defined by the responses you receive, but by the integrity with which you show up for yourself and for others. Let us dispel a myth. Kindness is not weakness. On the contrary, it is one of the most radical acts available to us. To persist in kindness, especially when it is not always returned, is a testament to your character and resilience. Kindness is what binds us to each other, what softens the sharp edges of the world, what transforms isolation into possibility. The person who listens, who comforts, who stands by others, even when they stand alone, this person embodies a strength that is neither loud nor fragile. It endures through disappointments and loneliness. It's the strength to remain open, to hope for connection, to believe in the goodness of others, even when the evidence is scarce. If you recognize yourself in these words, take heart. You are not invisible, nor are you unappreciated. The world needs people like you, those who anchor others, who hold space for the difficult conversations, who offer compassion without calculation. Your presence has shaped lives in ways you may never fully understand. But you too deserve care. You too deserve softness and shelter and time to rest. Do not let the absence of reciprocity harden your spirit or diminish your kindness. You are worthy of support, worthy of love, worthy of the same gentleness you have given so freely. In moments when you feel alone, remember, the value of your kindness is not measured by what you receive, but by the courage it takes to keep giving. Kindness is never wasted. It ripples outward, touching lives, inspiring others, and sometimes returning to you in forms you might not expect. So stand tall in your compassion. Guard your heart, but do not close it. Seek support and trust that the right people will come. Be gentle with yourself when others are not. And know above all that your willingness to be there for others is proof of an extraordinary strength. You are not weak, and you are not alone. In a world that often overlooks the quiet heroes, let this be your reminder. You matter, profoundly and deeply, just as you are.